Welcome. In front of me I have the Xiaomi Black Shark 5 Pro, and today I will go over unboxing of this phone and just a quick overview of it. So anyway, let's just pop it open. Go. So we get some useless writing right here. Let's just get straight to the phone. You can see we do have a case included and some paperwork, so I'm just gonna throw that to the side. The case looks nice. Okay, that's a charger and a half, 120 watt brick. Okay. And obviously charging cable, and that's all we get in the box. Now it's still more than some other companies would include, like Samsung, so I'm not really complaining. Now I do have to say I really like the back of it. It has this a little bit aggressive finish, but it looks nice. I don't know, I just kind of like it. Anyway, let's just turn it on and get a look at the actual phone. Oh, there we go. So, straight off the bat, we do have a 6.6-inch display. It's a 1080p by 2400 pixels OLED with 144 Hz refresh rate, HDR10 plus certified, 395 pixels per inch with a 85.7% screen to body ratio. So the screen to body ratio is on a little bit underwhelming side, but it's still decent enough, I would say. I'm gonna quickly go through the setup just so I can get a look at the how the actual home screen looks like, if it's super aggressive or if you have a choice to have something more stock. I personally don't really like the gamery aesthetics of like launchers and stuff like that, so I really would like to see it give me an option for it. But it looks like that's not an option here. So we go straight into our Black Shark gamer look. Obviously you can change the icon look and launcher and just wallpapers and all that stuff to make it look like a stock Android. But I do like when the phones, some of them do include the option like Asus, where you can switch if you want the gamery aesthetic or just a typical Android one. Sadly, this is not the case right here. Anyway, let's move on to the cameras, which are at the back. And we do have a main sensor at 108 megapixel wide. We do have a 13 megapixel ultra wide and a telephoto macro at 5 megapixel. So this actual camera right here isn't actually that bad for a gaming phone. Obviously there will be people that on the channel that will do the actual like camera test and stuff like that, but just from a spec sheet, it seems like this is probably one of the not very many phones that actually has a decent camera setup. I'm just gonna pop a photo or two just so I can see how well it does. So let's bring my fake plant here. So here we got a macro, which honestly it's not bad. I'm actually curious about one thing. I'm gonna quickly compare it to my phone, which is Mate 20 Pro, also has a macro lens. And from experience, it usually outperforms a lot of the phones. So I'm curious how it will come out right here. Come on. I am kind of blocking the light with it, one of the downsides. Can you focus on what I want? For goodness sake. Now I know for a fact I can get closer. I've had this phone for like several years now. Okay, I'm gonna just do this in microfiber cloth. Seems like a better alternative considering I can't get to focus on it, or maybe I just forget how bad this camera is. Okay, macaron here is actually without a doubt better. So just a quick comparison. These are the two shots. Oh, and I actually missed the focus point, so it looks even worse than it should be. Well, this phone did a fantastic job actually focusing on it. Kept focusing whenever I would move my hand, which actually came out to be really good. Here you can see it's a little bit blurry. I could capture maybe a little bit better photo with a little bit more punch to it, but I don't think it's gonna come close to this, to be honest. This is for a macro, it's actually really good. So we do have a actually fairly decent camera setup right here. Here's the other one, also came out really good in close up. This is the normal one. It does have some weirdness going on right here. So you can see kind of like the green flailing out of it, like a blur. I don't know if my hand was maybe shaking or something like that, but that shouldn't be there. So yeah, it has kind of like this ghosting almost effect around here. So it looks a little bit weird, but still, I would say this is a pretty good photo anyway. Just nitpicking right here. It does have a little bit of a darkness in the shadow, which shouldn't be there, to be honest. Yep, there is no way it should be there. So it did struggle a little bit of exposing the darker areas, but still I can't complain really. It's still better camera than on any other phone that I have seen so far. So yeah, anyway, let's move over to the front. So at the front, we do have a 16 megapixel wide sensor, and at the back, when it comes down to video recording, we can record at 4K 60 frames, or up to 4K 60 frames, and obviously anything below that. So 1080p, 3060, and also slow motion at 240 frames, or 960 frames if you want to have like super slow motion. And at the front, you can record at 1080p, 30 frames. So, moving on. We have a Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 in here, which is basically the best processor as of now. Although there might be a Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 coming out soon in some phones. So that will make this be, I guess, generation behind, though it's just an overclock, I think. So I don't know if that really counts. And we do have starting at 8 gigs of RAM with 256 gigabytes of storage. Then we have same storage, 12 gigs of RAM, and then half a terabyte with 16 gigs of storage at the highest version of this phone. Now the one that I have right here is, I have actually no idea what it is. 8 gigs and 128 gigs of storage, which is actually missing a storage capacity right here. So looks like we can go below 256 to 100, or half of that basically, at the lowest end. And all of the versions of this come with UFS 3.1 storage, or apparently also NVMe SSD, meaning I assume this would be for the 512 gigs of storage. I'm just guessing, haven't really doubled into this deeper, but considering it's 512, half a terabyte, it would make sense. Obviously the NVMe storage will be faster, but the UFS 3.1 is still pretty good. Now the reason this would matter is for, as an example, loading games quicker, or when it comes into video recording, when you're recording at 4K, once you're done recording, the video needs to be like basically go through like some processing, which the storage will help with that. Obviously processor will do that as well, but it needs to be read or written to the from or to the storage. The faster the storage is, the better or faster you will actually manage to do whatever you're doing with it. So there we go. Now moving on from the actual storages and stuff like that, we have a 4650 mAh battery in here, and we do, like I mentioned before, have that stupid fast charger at 120 watts. This is just insane charger, to be honest. I would think it might be a little bit of an overkill for the phone, and apparently this is stupid. Honestly, this is just stupid. It charges from 0 to 100% in 15 minutes advertised, which still, I mean, it's 120 watts, so even if this is a little bit below, it's still like 16 minutes, let's just say, to 18 minutes. It's insane. Now, to put that in perspective, the power of this device and what you get in here, it all costs about $600 US, or actually not US dollars, euros, which I think it's a little bit more in US dollars. But still, for the price that this phone costs, it's a stupidly good deal right here. It has a decent camera setup, it is super powerful, has a great display. The charger is by itself just a absolute plus, considering phones from Samsung that cost twice as much have barely better specs, maybe, and I say maybe, probably better camera optimizations, don't come with a charger, and cost way over twice as much as this. So yeah, like I said, this is a fantastic phone, and the only downside I guess I would see for people would be the fact that it has this gamery aesthetic. I might be one to think that, might not be the only one, but I'm pretty sure this phone would probably sell way better if it would ditch the gamer aesthetics. I am gamer myself, and I don't really care for phone to look like, hey, look at me, I'm a gamer, I like to play games everywhere. I like to have the additions of, for instance, things like these triggers right here, the pop-up ones. They're effing fantastic. The design of like pop-up triggers is an excellent idea. I absolutely adore this. It's so good. And when you're done, you can just pop them away, so they don't ever get like in the way. They're not visible, but they have functionality to it as an actual click right here over some other phones like Nubia, which includes just a touch sensitive points instead of like pop-up triggers. I think pop-up triggers are done by Xiaomi and also Asus, but I might be wrong about the Asus. I would need to recheck it. But yeah, it's a fantastic thing. But the phone doesn't need to look like it's a gamery phone for these things to be here. And I think if they would ditch that, there would be way more people interested in a phone like that. And also if they would, for instance, a lot of other brands that do gamer phones would decide to make the actual camera experience a little bit better, optimize it more. These phones would sell so much better because they are already super powerful, but they're missing, for the most part, this one seems to be good, but for the most part all the gaming phones do have a bit of a crappy camera experience, and the overall look of the phone usually just kind of is, in my opinion, meh. This one is okay. I do have to say I like the actual design of it. It's not overdone, it doesn't look super gamery, so this one will be fine in my opinion, but some other phones do take it a little bit too far. And yeah, it's just in general, if you're looking for a good phone, this seems to have, I think, anything that you would be looking for from a decent all-around phone. Almost a flagship grade phone for 600 euros is outstanding deal here. Like I said, there's not really any kind of shortcomings. Maybe the only thing I guess that would be missing here is the wireless charging, which is not in this device. You also don't get under finger display sensor. You get it on a power key, which for some people it's up to preference. Some people love it on the power key. I personally do prefer it under the display, but honestly, for this price, I can't complain. Anywhere would be fine enough, to be honest. So yeah, not much more to say about this. I'm actually really positively surprised by this device at a price range of about 600 euros. And I'll actually say that right now, if it's at this price range as I am reading it right now, then yeah, it's a fantastic device. If it's going for like $1,000, then some things might actually be a little bit different in opinion, because gamer, you look for $1,000, I don't really like it, and $1,000 you can get some different phones which will perform as well as this. They will probably be missing some of the things like this. Ooh, that sound though, it's a little bit too much. I didn't have that before. So yeah, that I'm not stoked for that though. But yeah, for $1,000 you will be missing probably things like the triggers and normal flagship phones, but you will be getting more features like wireless charging, under display finger sensors. In certain cases, if you go even higher in budget, you get like hidden cameras at the front, stuff like that. So yeah, but for 600, this I think it's a no-brainer, to be honest. It's a really good price for just a flagship performance from a phone. Now, just to quickly get this popped on here, I'm curious how this actually looks like on the phone, and it does cover most of the actual like back of it, just leaving this open here. Not really sure why. It still has, as you can see, this kind of gamery design, so if you're not into it, you could just get your own case, pop it on here, and most likely get rid of all the gamery aesthetics and have a relatively normal looking camera. Like I said, relatively, it's not necessarily completely normal looking compared to other phones, but it's fairly stealth in my opinion. And other than that, at the front, if you change the icons, you could not tell that it's a gamer phone. So yeah, like I said, fantastic phone for the price, if the price actually is at, like I'm saying, at 600, with great features, fantastic charger, and just all around a fairly decent phone. So anyway, if you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.